踏みつぶしてあげる。終焉の時。いや、そこだよ。汚れ虫。やれやれ、つまらない結末ね。
What's good, everyone? Welcome to another guide for Aether Codes. Today we have the latest modifier, Mommy Hades, to check out. Just like previous guides, we're gonna go through her kit, but we'll go into in-depth of her mechanics to understand her better on how to play her. So, without further ado, let's go to her stats. Hades. So, Hades is a ranged DPS modifier that hails from Olympus and is considered the goddess of free-to-players, and she's an absolute unit when it comes to her DPS capabilities, and your main carry pretty much through Hazard Zone and Recurring Dream. She uses the Shadow element to deal damage, and as for her combat resources, she uses Divine Grace. So before we go into her skills, it will be better to check out first her Functor, Sigils and Codes, and then we're gonna check out the skills inside the tutorial stage so we can properly understand what she does and how we can play her to maximize her damage. So let's talk about her Functor. One of the big reasons why I said she is the free-to-player goddess is because you do not need her Functor to actually perform, as a DPS. It's good to have it, of course, but not mandatory for her to perform her duties as a DPS. What her Functor does is that she boosts her damage during her dance duo mode, so you're already getting the full power of her kit outside of dance duo pretty much. So, having said that though, what other options you have for a Hades Functor? One is the generic 5-star Hydra, but if you actually want to use this one, then you will need to team Hera alongside Hades to use it. Otherwise, you won't be able to abuse the increased skill damage, because Hades cannot actually trigger 0 time. So you'll also, like, on top of that, you will need to have Hera's signature Functor to trigger that 0 time, whenever it's possible, pretty much. So that's a kind of a big downside, I feel, for Hydra, and because you're gonna need to have Hera alongside her signature Functor. And on top of that, you might want to play Hera, in another team. But the next best choice pretty much is to use the 4-star Lilaps, which you need to trigger dodge effect only, and you get pretty much the increased skill damage for 7 seconds at Transcend 5, that is. So yeah, if you're looking not to get your Functor, and obviously, like I said, it's not mandatory to have it, it's just like a nice addition if you can actually afford it to go for it, then this is probably your next best choice for Functors. So that will be for her Functors. Next up, let's see her Sigils. So her Sigils, Dark Plague and Acheron's Obol are pretty much the best in slot for her. 135 for Dark Plague and 246 for Acheron's Obol. Dark Plague is specifically designed for Hades pretty much. It gives her an incredible boost due to its effects. Increase shadow damage by 10%, deals an additional 3% of attack plus fixed amount damage that ignores defense when dealing shadow damage to enemies. So one thing to know about this one is that the added value of the additional damage and stuff, like, ignores all defense stats pretty much. And when it comes to Acheron's Obol, works incredibly well on Hades because her normal attack can easily stack the Sigils effects. Now, as for skill effects, by this version you should already understand that the top 3 as usual are Fierce Assault, Berserk and Ranged pretty much. Next up, you want to look actually for loop back for faster ultimate skill, because the damage bonus of your single and dual ultimate is too good to actually miss out. Now, if you're running A on Aeroi as your support, make sure A on Aeroi has stacks of loop back as well. Next up, of course, you want to have Shadow Blessing for her, since like she's doing shadow damage. And on top of that, since we're gonna be using her normal attacks, you could actually look up for normal attacks as well for her. And lastly, you can, you know, Tactics Enhance and Shinryu are pretty nice additions too to have around, pretty much. Of course, like those, you know, depending on how things develop for your skill effects, you go about it. But pretty much like the first three are always there. First Assault, Berserk, and then Raids. And that will be pretty much for the sigils, pretty straightforward, nothing really more to say here. Obviously, you know, good luck with your skill effects, you know, to find what you need. It's the end game, the actual end game of the game sometimes. And next up, we have the Aether Codes. The best path for Hades is triple red. This path allows pretty much Hades to maximize your damage while maintaining a specific Divine Grace number, which is between 40 and 60. I'm pretty sure you can easily see all the buffs he gets just by being between that value, right? Like increased damage dealt, increased attack, increased shadow damage, increased skill damage, you know. And of course, you gain the chthonic marks 1.5 seconds more quickly if the mode is between that value. It needs to be between 30 and 70, but obviously we're looking for 40 and 60 if we want to get even more buffs along with that. So you can easily see all the buffs, you know, that help her out to deal even more damage. So, having said that, we pretty much covered most of her thing, but the biggest thing obviously is her skills. We need to go into the tutorial stage and check out your skills and how to properly play to maximize your damage. So I'll see you there. Alright, here we are. So, normal attacks. Hades uses a 4-part normal attack combo that gives you pretty much Divine Grace. It's a little bit... it has a little bit more to it, but we're gonna go through it one by one once we show all the skills. So, let's start with the basic attacks. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's the basic attack. Next up we have the dodge effect, pretty much. Like I said earlier, Hades cannot trigger 0 time, but if you do a perfect dodge, as you can see, she slows the enemies down for 4 seconds. Next up we have her skill 1, which is Switch Puppet. So one thing to know about Hades is that she controls 2 puppets, Leuke and Mintha. We're gonna call mode 1 and mode 2 for easier, you know. The one that we are using right now is Leuke, which is mode 1. So let's go use her skill 2. And then we're gonna switch and use skill 2 for Mintha. Now we are at mode 2. Next up we have skill 3 for Mintha, Switch Puppet, and we have skill 3 for Leuke, which is mode 1. And you pretty much change between those two, you know, like mode 1, mode 2, pretty much to manage your Divine Grace. Next up we have Leuke, which is mode 1, skill 2 and skill 3. So that's here skill 2 and that's here skill 3. Then we're gonna change to Minta, mode 2, do skill 2, and do skill 3. We need to do it again. There you go. Alright, the chthonic marks. So when you are between like, the 30, 70, pretty much you gain like chthonic marks. And once you have in total 4, if you are hold down your normal attack button, you go into dance duo mode and you deal an insane amount of damage, which looks like that. And of course you can do normal attacks as well. And last but not least, her ultimate skill, which if you're playing her solo and not in a dual ult with Oneiroi, then when you use her ult, she will immediately put your Divine Grace to 50. And she will do that for every 3 seconds for 12 seconds. Alright. So, we went through all her skills, so what more there is to it that we kinda need to look at the skills one by one and check out. So her normal attack combo, her first attack actually loses 1 Divine Grace. So if I do 1 attack, then I'll go from 50 to 49. There you go. If I do 2 attacks, then I will gain another 5. So in total that will be 4. So after I do 2 attacks, I should have 53. 1, 2. There you go. Next up, 3. You gain another 2. That means you gain in total 6. So I should be 59. 1, 2, 3. There you have it. And 4th attack gives another 2. So in total 8. That will put me at 67. 1, 2, 3, 4. There you go. So a total 4-part combo gives you a total of 8 Divine Grace. This is important because later on we're gonna talk a little bit about skill animation cancel, which will allow you to do even more damage while playing Hades. That's pretty much the sweaty mode, you could say, for doing it, but if you actually want to maximize your damage, that's how you should go about it. So next up, like we said, we have skill 1, which is like to go from mode 2 to mode 1, which is like changing puppets. Next we have skill 2. So if you are in mode 2, which is Minta, and you use the skills, her skill 2 gives 6 Divine Grace, so I should go to 73 after I use it. There you have it. If you use skill 3, you're gonna gain 15 Divine Grace, so I should be at 88. There you go. Very nice. So that is for the Divine Grace gain when you are in mode 2. When you are in mode 1 though, if I go to mode 1, also another thing that I should actually mention is that when you change from one puppet to another, before you actually change to that mode, you go into an enhanced state where, as you can see, I have both puppets enabled. So if I use a skill, I should deal damage, and on top of that I will change to the puppet I want to change. So once I use a skill of 2 or 3, I should go into mode 1. There you go. And also, like, when you're in enhanced state, both the puppets attack. So when I'm in mode 1, if I use my my skill 2, I'm gonna lose 9 Divine Grace, so I should be at 74. There you go. And if I use skill 3, I will lose 14 Divine Grace, so that will put me at 60. And that's pretty much how you gain and lose pretty much Divine Grace from your skills, which is very important because you're gonna be switching puppets and you're gonna be trying to manage your Divine Grace between 40 and 60 so you can get the most of your kit out. But having said that, it's not something that it's, like, don't feel worried if you're not between 40 and 60. It's fine as long as you're like between 30 to 75 pretty much. It's fine, as long as you gain the chthonic marks and you go into dance duo mode. So, and of course you always have your ultimate skill if you're using Hades solo to get back to 50, pretty much the sweet spot. Alright, so we look at the skills, we looked what we can gain, we looked what we can actually lose, but what does that have to do with our rotation? And about the skill animation that cancel that I talked about earlier. So the thing is that when you're casting your skills, Hades goes into an animation where you can actually cancel it. So if I cast, let's say, skill 2, see, like it did the whole animation and stuff. Or if I cast skill 3, see, like the animation played the whole out. That animation, you can actually cancel it out. And you can actually, and the thing is, like, when canceling out doesn't mean that you will lose DPS, because her attack will still go through, right? So what you need to know when you're playing Hades is that when you start the battle, you always start in mode 2, pretty much. So you want to gain Divine Grace to go up to 40 and to actually to 60, but you want to be between 40 and 60. And the thing about is that when you canceling your animation, while the attack still plays, you want to actually do basic attacks, right? You want to do normal attacks to do more damage. So the thing what changes is that when you're using your skill, one of the puppets is not available. So the other one will only do the normal attack combos. So if I'm in mode 2 and I use my skill and I use my basic attacks, then that means that mode 1, which is Leuke, does her normal attacks, and Leuke is only losing Divine Grace for you, she's not gaining. So you actually not gaining the full Divine Grace that you can gain from a skill, which is important so you can manage your Divine Grace to be between 40 and 60. So that will be for mode 2, but if you're in mode 1, then when you cast your skills, that means that Minta, which is mode 2, will only do the basic attacks. So you will gain from your basic attacks while using a skill of in mode 1, so it'll be like something like that, right? And that will pretty much be kind of like, you know, more in-depth mechanics and how to go about it. So to recap, for pure Divine Grace gain, do not do normal attacks during mode 2 skills. To ration your Divine Grace gain, then you do normal attacks during mode 2 skills. And to lose Divine Grace, don't do normal attacks during mode 1, and to ration your Divine Grace loss during mode 1, you want to do normal attacks pretty much. That's how you go about it. So how pretty much a full rotation will look like is that you're gonna be in mode 2 and you're gonna be going all the way to 60 pretty much. And then you're gonna be changing out, go all the way down, right? And then you're gonna be changing again, and you keep going like that, and you're going 40 and 60, 40 and 60. But if you, like I said, even if you go above 60, it's fine. If you go below 40, it's fine. You know, like this takes a little bit of practice. It's nothing to worry about. Just, make sure when you want to use your dance duo mode to use your ult first and be between the 40 and 60 to have the most buffs enabled, so you can do the most damage pretty much. So it'll be like something like that. You use your ult, and then you're gonna use your dance duo, and you keep hitting as hard as you can, and you do all the damage. And that will pretty much be for her skills. So I think that will be it. The only thing that I left out is pretty much her team, pretty much. So we talked about the skills, we talked about her Functor, we talked about her Sigils, her codes. As for her teams, her best team is with Hera and Oneiroi. That's her best team pretty much, and will be one of the best teams in the future as well. Now, if you do not want to use Oneiroi, which well, you don't want to, build her up or anything, you can always use someone else. But for the most part, you should you should bring those two together, Oneiroi and Hades. They are really good together, especially for her ultimate skill chain, which gives quite a few buffs and does pretty good damage as well. As for Hera, you can use her, along with those two for the extra buffs, like obviously, you're making a busted DPS and even more broken. So there's that too. But as for maybe some questions you might have, if you need to have double S Hades, no, you don't really need to. You can go for it if you can afford it, but I would actually, if you can afford double S, I would actually tell you to go for your Functor before going for double S. If you can use Hades as a support, like not actually controlling her, yes, you can do that, but AI Hades is not as good to maintain her Divine Grace between 40 and 60. So if you're gonna do that, then it's better to use triple blue Aether Codes instead. Now, if Hades is future-proof, extremely future-proof. Like, you're not gonna have to worry about that. She will still be used down the line for most of the content. She will still be really good. And the thing about it is that Aether Gazer, when it comes to future-proofing and power creeping and all that kind of stuff, is a little bit different, because as we go forward, more stuff are gonna be introduced, and in general, not at the moment, but in the future, you're gonna need around 6-7 teams actually to have around for the hard content and all that kind of stuff. And Hades is definitely gonna be in one of those teams alongside with Oneiroi. Now, if you don't feel like playing Hades, let's say you want to skip Hades, and well, you will be missing a really good unit, in my opinion, where she can help you like guarantee a clear in the harder content pretty much. And I would say it's not recommended to skip Hades. If you can get here, definitely get here. But the thing is that in the end of the day, me making these guides, me telling you how to play a character, me, me recommending you or giving you my opinion on what you can do or what you can, how to do stuff, is that it all comes secondary when it comes to your enjoyment of a game. You should play the game the way you feel like you're enjoying the most the game. So if you do not like Hades for whatever reason, can't play Hades for whatever reason, feel free to skip here. While I do not recommend it, if that is what makes you happier to play the game, or you want to, keep your resources for something else, feel free to do so. If you don't want to stress yourself out about stuff like that, yeah, feel free to do anything you want. And I think that will be it for my guide for Hades. Thank you very much for watching, much appreciated. I hope this video helped you out, to better understand Hades, to maybe better play Hades as well, and a little bit of her mechanics that comes with her kit. Feel free to leave a like, comment as well. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. I will definitely want to answer them. If I made a mistake in the video, make sure to, leave a comment, tell me that you actually said that wrong. Like I said before, I'm going through the game the same way as you. I'm trying to my best to pretty much become better myself, like to learn more about the game and be better myself. So if I did mistakes, I'd love for people to actually tell me so I can correct myself. And last but not least, I stream pretty much on Twitch almost daily, and I stream quite a bit of Aether Gazer too. So if you wanna, hang out in the chat with me and other people, and maybe you want to ask questions, you can feel free to ask right there, and I'll help you out if I can during the live. And you can find everything about that in the description below. And that will be it. Once again, thanks you very much for watching, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace, everyone.